With such and many similar thoughts crowding through my brain, I strove to get nearer to her I so loved, but I found I could not. An invisible barrier seemed to surround her and keep me back. I could move on either side of her as I pleased, nearer or farther, but her I could not touch. Vain were all my efforts. Then I spoke. I called her by name. I told her that I was there, that I was still conscious, still the same, though I was dead. And she never seemed to hear. She never saw me. She still wept sadly and silently, still tenderly touched the flowers, murmuring to herself that I had so loved flowers, surely I would know that she had put them there for me. Again and again I spoke to her as loudly as I could, but she heard me not. She was deaf to my voice. She only moved uneasily and passed her hand over her head as one in a dream, and then slowly and sadly she went away. I strove with all my might to follow her. In vain. I could but go a few yards from the grave in my earthly body, and then I saw why. A chain as of dark silk thread, it seemed no thicker than a spider's web, held me to my body. No power of mine could break it. As I moved, it stretched like elastic, but always drew me back again. Worst of all, I began now to be conscious of feeling the corruption of that decaying body affecting my spirit, as a limb that has become poisoned affects with suffering the whole body on earth, and a fresh horror filled my soul. Then a voice, as of some majestic being, spoke to me in the darkness, and said, "You loved that body more than your soul. Watch it now as it turns to dust, and know what it was that you worshipped and ministered and clung to. Know how perishable it was, and how vile it has become, and look upon your spirit body and see how you have starved and cramped and neglected it for the sake of your enjoyments of the earthly body. Behold how poor and repulsive and deformed your earthly life has made your soul, which is immortal and divine and to endure forever." And I looked and beheld myself. As in a mirror held up before me, I saw myself. Oh, horror! It was beyond doubt myself, but oh, so awfully changed, so vile, so full of baseness did I appear, so repulsive in every feature. Even my figure was deformed. I shrank back in horror at my appearance, and prayed that the earth might open up before my feet and hide me from all eyes for evermore. Ah, never again would I call upon my love, never more to desire that she should see me. Better, far better, that she should think of me as dead and gone from her forever. Better that she should have only the memory of me as I had been in my earthly life, than ever know how awful was the change, how terrible a thing was my real self. Alas, alas, my despair, my anguish was extreme, and I called out wildly and struck myself and tore my hair in wild and passionate horror of myself. And then my passion exhausted me, and I sank senseless and unconscious of all once more. Again I waked, and again it was the presence of my love that wakened me. She had brought more flowers, and she murmured more soft, tender thoughts of me as she laid them on my grave. But I did not seek now to make her see me. No, I shrank back and sought to hide myself, and my heart grew hard even to her. And I said, "Rather let her weep for the one who is gone than know that he still lives." So I let her go. And as soon as she was gone, I called frantically to her to come back in any way to any knowledge of my awful position, rather than leave me in that place to see her no more. She did not hear, but she felt my call, and far off I saw her stop and half turn round as though to return. Then she passed on again and left. Twice, 3 times she came again, and each time when she came I felt the same shrinking from approaching her, and each time when she left I felt the same wild longing to bring her back and keep her near me. But I called to her no more, for I knew the dead call in vain, the living hear them not. and to all the world I was dead, and only to myself and to my awful fate was I alive. Ah, now I knew death was no endless sleep, no calm oblivion. Better, far better had it been so, and in my despair I prayed that this total oblivion might be granted to me, and as I prayed I knew it never could, for man is an immortal soul, and for good or evil, weal or woe, lives on eternally. His earthly form decays and turns to dust, but the spirit, which is the true man, knows no decay, no oblivion. Each day, for I felt that days were passing over me, my mind awoke more and more, and I saw clearer and clearer the events of my life pass in a long procession before me, dim at first, then by degrees growing stronger and clearer, and I bowed my head in anguish, helpless, hopeless anguish, for I felt it must be too late now to undo one single act.